Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 independent comics. Big comics fan for many years. Batman was one of the first comics I was interested in. Fantastic Four also. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you, Batman is really the only DC comic I ever got into. But not this far into it. So DC Comics is kind of letting us know that Batman may actually be kind of gay. How gay? Pretty gay. We'll see. We're going to get into two different articles. We're going to cover this article coming from Bleeding Fool, Batman a confirmed bisexual, ? And we're going to cover an older article that goes into a brief history of Dick, as they call it, unpacking the gay subtext of Robin the Boy Wonder. This article is going around a bit. I remember a couple of years ago. It actually was written in 2016. But it has a pretty thorough history of continuity. I have a tremendous respect for continuity. So, I mean, they've got citations of strange little panels here and there from the history of Batman. So we'll go over it. You know, hey, it is what it is. We'll have to check it out. Let's get into the first article. Before we do, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. And give me a thumbs up if you can, all right? It's a big help. Batman, a confirmed bisexual? Or gay? DC outs Bruce Wayne in new comic this week. I mean, apparently he's meeting his final test. This is the last Batman night, and or the last night of Batman, late night Batman, I don't know, whatever they want to call it. The final test begins as our Batman editor Ben Abernathy and writer Chip Zdarsky outing Batman next week. This possibly was first teased 16 months ago, but in Batman... What the fuck? Our Batman editor Ben Abernathy and writer Chip Zdarsky outing Batman. The possibility was first teased 16 months ago, but in Batman the Night, number 8 out this week, Bruce Wayne is apparently confirmed to be gay, bisexual, or at least bat-curious. Bi-curious as a youth. Reader suspicions began in Batman the Night number 5, which Bruce Wayne's had a moment with a teammate, Anton. Okay. I didn't happen to see that one myself. The two looked into each other's eyes, hinting at a potential kiss between the two before they were interrupted. Building tension. That's what that's called. And it's effective, but... for Batman? Okay. Although LGBTQ activists were thrilled with the possibilities, so far DC Comics has yet to confirm the sexuality of the Dark Knight. Social media blew up at the time, with many expressing their opinions on what the moment meant. You know, at this point, since they don't really care about continuity in the comics, and the comics aren't going to necessarily follow the movies or anything in animation, and there's no limitation against you can't drastically change a character because it'll affect the merchandising. You can't sell toys or something like that. So, all these stories are done and forgotten. 3 months later, 6 months later. And that's the way they look at it, because there's no strong editorial leadership at any of the major companies anymore. It's just gone. As good as writers are and as good as artists are, if you don't have editorial leadership, you don't have anyone protecting the brand. There's no one to say, look, this is and this isn't Batman. And I'm not even saying that Batman isn't gay. He may be pretty gay, okay? He might actually be. But I want to hear editorial leadership explain it, not some new writer that I brought on or some writer that wants to subvert expectations. So here's some of the social media. We should make Batman camp again, just fully leaning to Batman being a bisexual man who processes his trauma through aggressively homoerotic relationships with every villain in a theatrical costume while being absolutely incapable of talking to hot females. Bunhead says Batman's bisexual, Harley's bisexual, Poison Ivy's bisexual, the Moonlight must be extra potent in Gotham. Not a bad point, because they do focus on the moon a lot. So, Yes, that's social media's reaction. Thank God for social media. We get a lot of insight from there. DC Comics has been no stranger to making their biggest characters gay or bisexual. Now, that's true. Last year, they debuted comics outing Superman as bisexual. Very important. Tim Drake's Robin is a bisexual. And there's even a comic featuring a bisexual Supergirl. Why not? And now, are they all bisexual or are they gay? I mean, why bisexual? Is that like a transitory inflation, a transitory sexuality thing that they're doing? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Why are they all bisexual? Just say they're gay or not gay. Maybe they could be poly, which is like anything, right? I don't know. Tell me what that is in the comments below. And the creator of Ghostmaker, the bisexual character that Bruce has been so focused on in this story, is James Tynion IV, who coincidentally is the same writer that retconned Golden Age Comics era Green Lantern as a homosexual. See, he wasn't bisexual. I did wonder about Green Lantern always a little bit. I think it was because of the lantern. Also last year, it's been speculated that 55% of the new characters at DC in the last 3 years identify as LGBTQ, so the odds are pretty good Bruce is next. Now, if you're going to make new characters have a unique sexuality, LGBTQ plus whatever, good. And that, at least it's a new character, and you're not retconning characters and going back and changing history. To me, brand is important. A story is very important and continuity is important, like what happened when. And if you apply those standards to comics today, there really haven't been any good comics in decades. That's something that's been missing for an incredibly long time. The synopsis for this week's issue is as follows. Bruce Wayne's journey to become the Dark Knight has taken him around the globe several times, but his training is nearly complete. His trials, however, haven't gone unnoticed. Someone has been watching him, haunting him, checking him out. The final test of the Batman begins. Previews have been showing up online. They include the following panel where young Bruce Wayne's teacher reveals that Bruce Wayne and Anton Knight, aka Ghostmaker, apparently had a previous romance. Okay, so, maybe he is, maybe he's not. We're going to have to see. Maybe he's gay, maybe he's bisexual, maybe he's more things with a plus on the end. It's hard to say. You can certainly let me know what you think in the comments below. Our next article is in Slate, A Brief History of Dick, unpacking the gay subtext of Robin the Boy Wonder. This was written in 2016, but it does cover a lot of the gay-ish history of Batman and Robin, and it's got panels from the pages. So if you're going to have citations like that, I'm going to give you a read. Batman says, that was a good sleep. Come on, Dick, a cold shower, a big breakfast. Okay. And then down to the Batcave to repair the Batmobile. I'm way ahead of you. I would not let my son sleep that close to Batman. Now, I don't know if they're in the same bed. I don't think I can really tell. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Or if it's sort of like an I Love Lucy thing where they have two twin beds, but, they're next to each other and they're close together. It looks like they're in a big king-size bed. But either way, I mean, are they not sharing a blanket? It looks like they're sharing a blanket. What are they doing? Why is it necessary for them to share a blanket? They have absolutely, Bruce Wayne's a billionaire or something. They need to share blankets? They got to be that close? That's not appropriate. Not to me. It's not appropriate. If you think it is, let me know in the comments below. So the author goes on to say, let's get one thing absolutely clear. Robin isn't gay. Don't let the green Speedo and the pixie boots steer you wrong. Dick Grayson is as straight as an uncooked spaghetti. That's very straight. In fact, there have been several Robins over the years, and not one of them has exhibited any trace of same-sex attraction or evinced anything resembling a queer self-identity. Well, the author has not been reading the recent comics because this was from 2016. Neither, it feels important to note here at the start, has Batman. Don't take my word for it, the author says. Ask anyone who's written a Batman and Robin comic. Or, what you don't have to. Dollars to Donuts, they've already been asked that question. And they have 1,000,000 times. In fact, Batman's co-creators, Bill Finger and Bob Kane, both firmly swatted the question down. No, no, no. So have writers like Frank Miller, Denny O'Neil, Alan Grant, and Devin Grayson, though Grayson admitted that she could understand the gay readings. Okay, well, I mean, something ain't right with this panel, okay? Let's see if there's any other panels they have that show us things that are a little funny. But honestly, when the creators say, no, stop it, then it's no, stop it. You have to respect the creators. You know, you can bring in other characters and make them as super gay as you want, or a little bit gay, make them bisexual. But if the creator says, no, Batman is not gay, even if they don't own the work, you may as well respect the creator, right? Why not? So there you have it. After all, if a character isn't written as gay, then that character can't possibly be gay, right? Can we agree on that? Good. Then we can move on to more important matters. And wait a minute. There's a comment in the back. Yes, Grant Morrison, writer of several Batman comics. Over the course of the past 3 decades, you had something to add. He said in Playboy magazine, gayness is built into Batman. Batman is very, very gay. Okay. Grant Morrison's a bit of a character, is he not? Okay, super helpful. Thanks for that. Obviously a fictional character. He's intended to be heterosexual. But Grant is saying this. So this is what he said. I think that's why people like it. All these women fancy him and they all wear fetish clothes and jump around rooftops to get him. He doesn't care. He's more interested in hanging out with Alfred and Robin. Well, okay. I mean, that's a point. It could be valid. I also, this panel of them waking up together, that's a little bit difficult. Why is Dick the butt of so many jokes? No puns intended, I'm sure. You've heard the gags we have, slurs, cheap puns, and innuendo have dogged Bruce and Dick's partnership from the moment it began in 1940. The editorially mandated edition of Robin the Boy Wonder, the first sidekick in comics, occurred less than 1 year after Batman's debut, and it accomplished several things at once. It lightened the comic's tone, a necessary move as the Caped Crusader was developing a reputation for murdering the bad guy. His publisher worried that parents' groups would object. It also gave Batman, who was and remains, beneath all that bat-themed fetishist folderol. Okay, I've never seen the word folderol before. A detective in the Sherlock Holmes mode, a loyal Watson to whom he could explain his leaps of deductive reasoning, which is great to have another character to be able to explain to the other character and give the background to the audience. In giving Batman someone to care about, it raised the stakes. More importantly, perhaps it doubled the comic's sales, and that is always important. But gay subtext managed to insinuate itself into the dynamic duo's dyad. Now, I have heard that word dyad before. It means two. From the very start, the opening page of Robin's debut story in the April 1940 issue of Detective Comics number 38 featured an introductory scroll jammed with breathless, declamatory copy about the sensational character find of 1940, Robin, the Boy Wonder. It began, the Batman, that weird figure of the night, takes under his protecting mantle an ally in his relentless fight against crime. So that's where things went a little bit screwy with this series. Or at least that's how it was supposed to begin. But the page's letterer, tasked with squeezing a hell of a lot of text onto the scroll, unwittingly shoved the words "an" and "ally" so close together as to effectively elide the space between them. Thus, the first thing readers ever learned about the sensational character find of 1940 was that he was someone whom Batman took under his protective mantle anally. Now that is either a typo or some sort of a joke. He took him under his mantle anally. They're actually, now look at, you see where this word athletic is? They had space for it. But this is what an editor is for. I mean, and production people. It's like, you got to look at this stuff before you print it. Unless it was put in as a joke. There have been people, I'm sure you're aware, that sneak stuff into the comics and then it's there forever. So there it was, instantly coded into the poor kid's narrative DNA. Maybe it was fate. Then maybe everything that came after was unavoidable. A cold shower, a big breakfast. We saw that one. True, their partnership came factory installed with unintended meta-meanings that read to us today like coyly coded messages. Later in that first Robin story, for example, after a young circus acrobat, Dick Grayson's parents are murdered by the mob. The mob. They used to have a mob back then. Batman swoops down upon the shaken youngster and matter-of-factly informs him, I'm going to hide you in my home for a while. Okay, he's going to hide him in his home for a while. And this is them together on a boat. You can certainly read it for yourself. Thus, young Dick became Bruce's Wayne's ward. And many stories of the 1940s and 50s began by depicting the man and boy engaged together in some leisure time pursuit. Again and again, however, said tableau sternly bore a romantic lavender-scented shading. Take 1942's Batman number 13, which saw Bruce and Dick owl and pussycatting it up in a rowboat on the pond in Gotham City Park, just the two of them at night. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to show the boy a good time, but where were the editors? Or the panel of World's Finest 59 from 1952, in which a naked Bruce Wayne and Dick lie next to each other, languidly bronzing their brawny physiques under the matching sun lamps. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's normal, and, for 1952, it's a little unusual. I don't know if that's supposed to be a hint or what that's supposed to be. And of course, there were the plots, many of which turned on Robin's seething jealousy over Batman's romantic interests and his paranoia that he might get replaced at Batman's side by some rival crime fighter. In this era, elaborate ruses and misdirection were the twin engines of comic book storytelling, which meant many a comic began with Batman performatively rejecting Robin as his partner, an act that would send the tearful lad to his sumptuously appointed bedroom to cry his guts out. People noticed. One person in particular, Dr. Frederick Wortham, a psychiatrist convinced that comic books were directly responsible for the scourge of juvenile delinquency, led a nationwide anti-comics crusade that proved hugely effective. He published his research, testimonials from juvenile psychiatric patients he treated, in a book called Seduction of the Innocent in the spring of 1954, just as he testified before Senator Estes Kavanaugh's Senate Committee on Juvenile Delinquency, which maybe we should have a subcommittee on juvenile delinquency these days, because things are getting pretty delinquent. Wortham devoted a scant 4 pages of his book to Batman and Robin. He had bigger fish to fry, attacking the luridly violent, sexist, and racist imagery found in many comics of the day. He did call Superman out as a fascist, and he noted that Wonder Woman's whole shtick seemed unapologetically sapphic, meaning gay. When it came to the dynamic duo, he seemed to relish drawing the reader's attention to Wayne Manor's beautiful flowers in large vases, and the fact that Bruce was given to swanning around the estate in a dressing gown. Quote, "It's like a wish dream," he famously wrote, "of two homosexuals living together." Fred Wortham, people, surely one of history's first shippers. Even as Wortham was preparing, do you know what shipping is? When you take two characters that are not gay and you make them have a gay romance in fan fiction? I know what it is. Even as Wortham was preparing to make his case on national television, the makers of the Batman comic unwittingly served him up fresh fodder. Or was it unwitting? Batman number 84 hit the newsstands in April 1954 during Wortham's Senate testimony. Yeah, this probably was a mistake because that couldn't have helped them. Its story, 10 Nights of Fear, begins with one of the most infamous panels in Batman's 77-year history, which now is more than 77 years. Bruce and Dick waking up in bed together. We covered this panel. They should not be sleeping together, obviously. "Morning," reads the narration, and it begins like any other routine morning in the lives of millionaire Bruce Wayne and his Dick Ward Grayson. They're sleeping together. They should not be, whether it's in separate beds or the same big bed. It looks like the same big bed. It looks like the same blanket. That is not appropriate. History does not record Dr. Wortham's reaction to receiving such an exquisitely formed distillation of his argument at such a propitious moment. But I think a cold, humorless smile is a safe bet, or a lot of giggling. It's hard to say. None of us were there. Now, of course, taking comic panels out of context like this is silly. This isn't that silly. After all, Bruce and Dick's relationship was essentially that of a father and son, and kids crawling to bed with their parents all the time. That's true. This wasn't really his kid, though. This is the issue with gay readings. Any given bond between males can be homosocial without being homoerotic. And even homosocial. And even the most explicitly homoerotic bond can exist whatever rubbing up against homosexual desire. to willfully and sneeringly misinterpret what was clearly intended as familial connection as a romantic one, as Wortham did in 1954, and so many Tumblr feeds do today. Tumblr still exists? It did back in 2016. Seems ungenerous at best and snide at worst. As the author is writing his new history, Batman and Nerd Culture, the Caped Crusader, no, intention doesn't matter where it comes to gay subtext. Imagery does, okay? I mean, imagery is just communication. So I'm going to have this link in the video comments below. There's more to this, but I think you get the idea that, you know, it's not the first time that someone has wondered if Batman was gay, although apparently the first time people started wondering was when he was protecting his mantle anally, you know, when he was first introduced, and some of these other odd panels and kind of discussions about the relationship of Bruce and Dick. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up if you like it. And let me know what you think. Batman, gay or not gay? I'll see you again soon with another video. If I don't see you, I will miss you.